So, one tricky bedtime last week with my daughter. She turned round and she said to me, "Mum, you shouldn't have made that decision that upset me." Ouch. Okay. It was this conversation again, we'd had it before many times. She was talking to me about my decision to separate from her dad. So I went through the explanation again in that child-friendly way that I try with her to try and help her understand why I did what I did. And she's still feeling angry. She's got her back to me. And I just take a breath and I think, how can I make this all right for her? I can't change the situation. This is how it is. It's not going back to where it was. So I just turned her to face me. And I just looked her in the eyes and I just said, "Darling, I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you." And she's looking at me now because she hasn't heard me say it for a start, so it's quite interesting for her. And these beautiful, mesmerising green eyes that she has, her gaze is softening and she's looking at me. And she said, "What's forgiveness, Mum?" I said, "It's when you let go of something that's hurt you, or when you've done something wrong and you're feeling really bad about it, really heavy. And instead of telling yourself off, you start to be kind to yourself." So how do you do that then? You tell yourself that you did the best that you could have done at that time. "That sounds nice," she said. "It is," I said. And she thought for a moment, and I saw this wise brain coming out. And she said, "Mum, even though you made this decision to separate from Dad and it upset me, I forgive you. And you're still the best mum for me." Still gets me. And with that, she released me. So forgiveness, it has to start with yourself. If you can't forgive yourself for whatever it is that you're holding against yourself, you'll never forgive anybody else for anything ever again. So I had a client yesterday. I was working with her. She came in and she was raging. Somebody had cut her up in the car. She was angry with her boyfriend. He'd done this, he'd done that. And she's a whole load of blame and upset. And eventually, I waited for her to stop talking. And I looked her in the eyes and I just said, "So what is it that you've done that you really can't forgive yourself for?" And she started to tear up. And that was our starting point, because she realised she was turning her inside pain outside and blaming everybody else. So I belong to a self-awareness group called Self-Awareness with Duke. There's 3,000 members in there, and I thought, let's find out what other people are getting from self-forgiveness. So I asked, what's the biggest gift that self-awareness has given you? I had a big, long list. The biggest one was freedom, the ability to let go, to move forward without feeling guilty, stopping judging yourself, which means then you've got more compassion for others, acceptance for others. And the big one for me was being able to put your needs first without feeling guilty. And another beautiful one, somebody said, was having a softer heart, being allowed to have a softer, more vulnerable, open heart. So there's a few ways that I've learnt how to come into my own self-forgiveness. The first one is just journaling out, so just brain dumping every day. Just dump out whatever's in my mind, whatever comes through, to let go of that. And then if I'm working on forgiveness and guilt, I make a list like I feel guilty about, and then I just write whatever comes out. And sometimes it really shocks me. Or what is it that I can't forgive myself for? And this list could go on and on and on and on. And there's another tool that I use called Ho'oponopono, which some of you might have heard of. It's a Hawaiian forgiveness ritual that I'm going to take you through in a minute. So they're the three main things that I do every day to release myself from unforgiveness. So that sounds simple, but there are barriers, there are programs. Again, coming back to the inner child, the 3-year-old, the 4-year-old. We all make decisions through our life, subconscious decisions about how we're going to show up. And I had some therapy on the guilt that I had around breaking my ex-husband's heart. And it took me right back to times where my dad was suffering with depression, and for some reason I thought that was my fault. So whatever's showing up now, often it's way back, and we can release that. And I use a technique called experiential healing, and I do a lot of that work on myself. And I go back and I talk to my inner child a lot and find out what it is that she can't forgive herself for. And if I hadn't been doing that work for the last year, that question from my daughter, that statement, you shouldn't have made that decision because it hurt me, it would have crippled me to the floor, I know that. Instead, it was just a bit of a sting to remember to keep forgiving myself. So I want to take you through this short meditation now. Ho'oponopono, I think I was brave using that word, and I'm a little bit nervous talking. It's not the easiest thing to say, and please don't make me spell it. So I'm just going to ask you to just have your feet flat on the floor. I just ask you just to, if you're comfortable to do it, just to gently close your eyes. I want you just to be aware of your breath in your belly, being aware of the chair underneath you and behind you, your feet on the ground, just coming into your body, just becoming more aware. And just remembering in meditation that you can just play with energy, that anything's possible. And I just want you to imagine in front of you a mirror. And I want you to imagine just looking into that mirror, your perfect reflection, and I want you to look into your eyes. And I want you in your mind to say these words. I love you. I forgive you. I'm sorry. Thank you. I'm free. And again, I love you. I forgive you. I'm sorry. Thank you. I am free. And just sit with that feeling. Then you might feel nothing, you might feel resistance, you might feel this is really naff. It doesn't matter. Those words will have some resonance somewhere. And just notice the effect. Now I'm going to invite you to take a deep breath in and out, and just open your eyes and come back into the space. I invite you to look that up if that resonates with you. The Ho'oponopono meditation, the practice that I use, is a very big part of that within it. So yeah, I've been Denise Richardson. If you're a parent and you're into self-awareness, I've got a Self-Aware Parenting with Denise group on Facebook. I also run conscious parenting workshops, and I've got an emotional resilience, building emotional resilience for you and your child workshop coming up too. And I'm running a retreat in December at Fell House, Tilton in Fell. It's all about digging deeper into this kind of thing. And if any of what I've said resonates, please do look me up or catch the link on Sally's Inspiring Talks page. And thank you for listening.